Welcome back after the tea break. For the next session, it would be chaired by Dr. Puneet Olak Puni. She's the professor and head of pediatrics at the Dayanand Medical College and Hospital, Ludhiana. She's the director of PICO Fellowship Program. She has more than 30 years of teaching experience and she has more than 100 publications in the national and international journals.
Very good morning. Good morning. Being a teacher, I have to make you such an interesting interactions. It's my profound privilege to be part of the faculty, especially as a chairperson. And thanks to Dr. Sujit Singh and Dr. Rakesh and his team. So next is very important topic because it's not so near, but eyes will see what the mind knows. So we all need to be aware of this entity. And the systematic review and the meta-analysis will be done by Dr. Pratap.
Yes, ma'am.
He's MBBS MD DN Pediatric Clinical Immunology and Rheumatology from PGI Chandigarh. Presently, he is additional professor of pediatrics in charge Division of Pediatric Immunology and Rheumatology. And he's in AIMS Patna, and publications are more than 70 in national and international journals. Over to Dr. Pratap.
Thank you, ma'am, for the introductions. I sincerely thank Dr. Rakesh and Professor Sujit Singh, sir, for giving this opportunity to speak on systematic review and meta-analysis. Although systematic review and meta-analysis are considered as secondary research, their contribution to science is immense. So to start with, I will share the story of Dr. Linus Pauling. And Dr. Linus Pauling was a famous biochemist, and he was awarded Nobel Prize twice, and he had a lot of fascinations with the vitamin C molecule. And he published a paper with a conclusion that daily or regular intake of vitamin C can prevent common cold. But these publications later on met with a lot of criticism from the scientific communities. So Dr. Linus Pauling, where he went wrong while published this review or published this work. So Dr. Linus Pauling probably unknowingly excluded the studies that had negative outcome, and he selectively included the study that showed the positive outcome. So this was a perfect example of selections bias that led to wrong conclusions. So today I'll discuss briefly about the systematic review, what is the level of evidence, what is the steps that is done in the systematic review, how data is analyzed in systematic review, and what is publications bias, and what are the limitations of the systematic review. So the systematic review and meta-analysis is a structured way of come and synthesize the research evidence in a comprehensive way. And this was first popularized by a biostatistician named Carl Pearson. He was from the UK. So in contrast to the traditional narrative review, systematic review collects the all possible studies related to a topic and review and analyze the results. And during the systematic review process, the quality of each study is analyzed, and finally the data from different studies are pooled, and that is called meta-analysis part. So systematic review may not always have the meta-analysis part, and if you look at the evidence, in the era of evidence medicine, the systematic review are at the top. So one should be familiar with the different terminology, systematic review and meta-analysis. And systematic review is the review part, and the meta-analysis is the statistical part. All systematic review may not have a meta-analysis part. And like to your original research, the systematic review and meta-analysis also has objective, which is either primary and secondary objectives. And the interesting fact about systematic and review meta-analysis are that they are reproducibles. And meta-analysis is the way that we pull the results from the different studies to get a report. So why meta-analysis should be done, and what are the advantages of carrying out meta-analysis? So in the meta-analysis, what we do, we take the data from different studies, and when we are taking the data from multiple studies, so by that we are increasing the power of the studies. When your sample size to detect any particular effect is increased, then if there is an effect, if there is a difference, then you are going to detect that effect. Meta-analysis also help us to understand the size of the effect. So whether the effect size is big or it is small, and what is the evidence for that and the certainty around this evidence. Meta-analysis also help us to settle the controversy that arises from the completing evidence from multiple studies. So what are the steps of systematic review? So the first step for carrying out systematic review is to formulate research questions. Then you have to write the protocols. Once you write the protocol, it has to be registered in a particular database. Then you have to define the inclusion and exclusion criteria, do a literature search and select the studies, then assess the quality of evidence of each study. Then finally extract data, analyze the data and present your results. So while writing a review title, one should focus on these PICO. So what is PICO? PICO is populations, intervention, comparison and outcome parameter. And you should follow this while writing a review title. So systematic reviews are very, very important. Their contribution is immense. Especially when you are planning to take any decisions in this major health problems or the situation which is controversial or conflicting, where the studies say outcomes are very difficult to conclude whether the effect of all these studies are suggesting only one directions or in opposite directions. So once you write the protocol, the next step of systematic review and meta-analysis is that you need to register this protocol in a website, and a priori one should define the primary and secondary outcomes. So most of the most common site where you can register your protocol is the Prospero. So once you register your review in the Prospero will give a registrations number, and this number has to be mentioned while you send your review for the publications. So what next step is of systematic review and meta-analysis is the literature search. And before doing that, you should have inclusion and exclusion criteria. You should have clear idea what type of studies that are to be included in the systematic review and meta-analysis. Apart from that, what type of studies, you should also define what language the studies should be searched, and you should mention about the time period during what type of studies and how many studies during a defined time period that should be included. So what are the databases or the common databases where you can search these studies for retrieval of the different studies? So these are the four common databases: PubMed, Embase, Scopus and Web of Science. You also can search in Google Scholar to retrieve these studies, and always perform a broad search using Boolean operators like AND or OR, and use appropriate keywords. And it is always better idea to look at the Cochrane review database, and this is the most common and one of the largest database that you can get the systematic reviews. And it is very important to identify the published as well as the unpublished and ongoing studies while you do the literature search. And once you collect the studies from the different databases, the next step is remove the duplicates, or this is called deduplications. So once you select the studies, you need to screen all the studies that you collect. Okay? Then this screening should be based on the abstracts. So once you you screen the abstract, you will include some studies for your systematic review, and you will exclude some studies. And the final selections, if you plan which the studies that are to be included, that studies detailed full text has to be retrieved. And it is very important to also maintain a log that all the excluded study with reasons. And this process is not a one-man job, and two independent investigators must carry out this process. And why this is carried out? Because it is essential for the reproducibility of the literature selections. So for the data extractions, one can use Excel chart or you can create a table, and it is carried out by two independent investigators. And so in systematic review, it is not always possible to combine the data. When the data is very much heterogeneous, then you can only write the review, that it will be a systematic review, but without meta-analysis. So various various artificial intelligence tools or websites that are available that can help you to for the data extractions, and these are the two most common used tool, and that is a web-based tool that you can use. The first one is Rian, and second is Pico Portal. So once you collect all the studies, the next step is to assess the risk of bias. So in this example, what you can see, the risk of bias has been carried out for 6 studies, and these studies have looked at the association of the coronavirus with the Kawasaki disease. So this is the risk of bias tool, and this is Newcastle-Ottawa scale, and this scale is mainly utilized for observational studies. So this was a case control studies, and the risk of bias assessment has been carried out. And in this domain, selections, comparativity, exposure, in this domain, there you have to score. And if the maximum possible score is 9. If any study score less than 5, then there is a possible risk of bias. Where score more than 7, then studies are of good quality with low risk of bias. So the risk of bias assessment for randomized control trial is different, and Cochrane collaboration tool is most commonly used for the risk of bias assessment on these following headings. So you have to assess these studies on sequence generations, allocation concealment, blinding, incomplete outcome of the data, selective reporting, and other biases. So this is also called a traffic light plot, and each studies has been evaluated on these domains. And when you finally plot this, and you will have the summary of regarding the risk of bias of the included studies. So where you can see here in this figure, the studies that have been included, the overall risk of bias is there. Some concern is definitely there. So finally, once you extracted that data and you carried out the bias assessment, the next step is data analysis. And to combine these variables, the data can be either dichotomous variables, or data can be continuous one, or data can be survival or time to event data. So for dichotomous variables, the outcomes will be mentioned in odds ratio, risk ratio, or risk difference. For continuous variable, the data will be presented in mean difference and standardized mean difference, and survival or time to event data will be represented as hazard ratio. So this is, once you carried out the analysis, different softwares are available. RevMan is the most commonly used software for doing this data analysis. And this is a typical forest plot you can see here. And this is also called blobogram. Okay. So this is a case control studies. And you can see here, looking at the association of the coronavirus with the Kawasaki disease. So this is each study's confidence interval. In the center, you can see here, this is the blob, and blob size depends upon the sample size of the study. So larger the sample size, the blob will be, the size of the blob will be more. And this is the, when you pull the data, this is the final estimate that is represented as diamonds. So in this studies, it is favoring the occurrence of Kawasaki disease and with the coronavirus. So Before doing the data analysis, two type of model that are used for creating this forest plot. One is fixed effect model and another is your random effect model. So fixed effect model is used when the data are homogeneous, the studies are similar, where random effect model is used when the studies are different from each other. It is very important to wisely choose your statistical model, because you can see here two type of model has been used for the same data. In upper figure, you can see fixed effect estimate or fixed model has been used. In lower, your random model has been used. And you can see here in the upper graph, so you can see the intervention is favoring the experimental group when fixed effect model has been used, whereas in the lower graph, there is no difference, because this is the two line. This is the horizontal line and this is the vertical line. So you can see here the diamond is touching the line of no effect. So it is very important to decide a priori which type of model are to be used in the data analysis, in the systematic review and meta-analysis. After that, once you carried out the meta-analysis, look at the forest plot, and there can be heterogeneities. So you can see here, how can you decide the forest plot, looking at the forest plot, whether heterogeneity is present or not. So look at the confidence interval. If the confidence interval of each studies are overlapping very much, then probably there is no heterogeneity. In this forest plot, you can see here, some studies confidence intervals lies here, some confidence intervals lies here. So this is a very much heterogeneous data. So you can look at the Cochrane Q test also, and this is the p-value that suggests there is lot of heterogeneity. Less than p.0.5 is considered to be, there is presence of heterogeneity, and it is very, very significant. And look at the I-square statistics. This will tell about the heterogeneities. So here I-square is 88%, there is lot of heterogeneity. Then once you carried out the analysis, there may be possibility of publications bias, and when there is a publication bias is present, it can distortion the outcome of the meta-analysis. And this is the most common type of bias that is used in meta-analysis. So how can you detect the publications bias that is present in a study or not? One can use advanced statistical state like Begg and Majumdar rank correlation test, and this is the funnel plot that one can draw by using your Rebman software. So this is the funnel plot. This is representing the each studies, and you can see here in the first figure, the publication bias is absent because all these studies are within the funnel here. But in the second figure, you can see all the studies are not within the funnel, suggesting that there are publications bias. So after doing all this analysis, the next step is reporting of your studies, and that one guideline that has been provided is your quorum. So you have to adhere to this guideline, and these are the tab figure that has been provided by the Prisma, and according to this, you have to report your data in the meta-analysis. So what are the limitations of systematic review and meta-analysis? The systematic review meta-analysis, the quality of the review depends upon the what has been published in literature, and if there is garbage in, then there will be possibility of garbage out. So data are also quite quickly outdated. So in these situations, you need to carry out updated review. So if a review has been published within last 2 years, it is not prudent to carry out a review on the same topic. So if studies has come up within the last 2 years, then one can do. And at times, the limitation of systematic review and meta-analysis that there may not be enough data or research to analyze. So in summary, systematic review and meta-analysis has the highest level of evidence in the era of evidence-based medicines, and it is help us to make the research literature easily accessible with increased accuracy. Good research questions and literature search are the key initial steps Quality of studies included review have impact on the quality of review, and meta-analysis may not be possible in all systematic review, and because there can be heterogeneous data. So thank you for your attention.
Excellent presentation. I think this is must know for all the postgraduate students, all the researchers and all the doctors, especially in teaching hospitals. So did you do any systematic review and meta-analysis on treatment options or outcome related to KD or anything else related to KD?
Yes, ma'am. I have two meta-analysis. One is on exposure of coronavirus and association with the Kawasaki disease. And second meta-analysis is long-term cardiovascular effect of Kawasaki disease that is published in Cardiology India.
You very rightly pointed out, Gigo says garbage in, garbage out, but gold in, gold out. So what you are putting into the AI is what you will get. Any questions from the audience? It was very clear. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Next laser.
Our next speaker is Dr. Vijaya K. Pathi. Is it all right?
Yes, ma'am.
Because even my name is never pronounced right. I'm Puni PWNL, but PUNI is fine. That's okay. So he is associate professor at PJM Chandigarh, postgraduate in Public Health, University of Nebraska Medical Center, USA, postdoctoral fellow, Jawaharlal Nehru University, PhD in environmental health. That's very good. And he's got 15 years of experience in academic research and treatment. Interest areas are social and environmental determinants of health, guideline development, climate change, and he's got lots and lots of awards and recognition, including from UNESCO, Young Investigator Award of Asia, Environmental Research, Junior Scientist of the Year, National Environment, World Association of Medical Editors. So big applause for you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Over to you, Dr.
Thank you, ma'am. So I have allotted 15 minutes. I will try to finish my talk within that period. So this is the overall summary what Dr. Pratap explained very nicely. These are the different steps of systematic review meta-analysis, and I will explain with one of our ongoing systematic review meta-analysis on Kawasaki disease. So before that, those students present here, I will try to spend 2 minutes to provide some kicks, why you should learn this technique and what benefit you will get. I will give my example. There are three stakeholders in this field in the area of research. One is the researcher ourselves. Second one is the journal. There is a big industry, publishing industry. They are more profitable than TCS, Infosys, Wipro, any other industry nowadays. The third one is the policymaker like ministry, UNICEF, WHO. So all these three stakeholders are getting benefited from this systematic review and meta-analysis. And how? So I started my first publication in 2005. Okay, from 2005 to 2019, I used to get only 10, 15, 20 citations per year. Okay, so after 2019, when I started publish my first systematic review meta-analysis, and from 2019 onwards, so my H index, my citation, every year I'm getting more than 500 citations. So look at last 10, 15 years and last 5 years. So this is the benefit, personal benefit that you will get as a researcher, as an academician, if you publish few systematic review in a year. Okay. The second one is, you can also publish a reputable journals. Like me, I am a public health professional, so I cannot dream to publish Lancet Oncology, Lancet Microbiology, because I do not have that type of infrastructure resources. But I am publishing in those high quality journals. Okay, because for doing a systematic review meta-analysis, you do not need any infrastructure, not any resources. You need an internet connection, laptop, and 2 dedicated human resources. This is the benefit as a researcher I am getting. The second one, the journals. Every journal is strive to sustain their impact factor. Okay, so this is a very good area. The systematic review meta-analysis, if they publish, they at least get that number of citation. For example, if a journal having 5 impact factor, it means if the editor is published that one article in that journal, so in that year, that article should attract at least 5 citations. If it is not attracted 5 citations, it means it is a liability to that journal. So the journals will get the citations to maintain their impact factor. Third one, they can show the authority, and it can also resources for the other professionals like the policymakers. For example, if WHO wanted to make some policy, if there is an individual study is available and there is a systematic review meta-analysis is available, obviously they will look at the systematic review and meta-analysis. So these are the benefits for both the researcher as well as for the journals. And fortunately, the ICMR, earlier there was a guideline in 2017 that all systematic review meta-analysis should go for the ethical committee review. But we thank our current Director General, the day he joined, and he said in a meeting that I will ensure that I will remove this clause from these ICMR guidelines, and in January 2024, he removed that guidelines and provided an addendum. So this is a boost for the Indian researchers, Indian students who are taking a ICI ethical review, which takes minimum 6 months in our nowadays in our institutional ethics committee. So these are some benefits for the researcher, but still people are not able to publish systematic review meta-analysis. The reason behind is, it is your research question. If you are a novice researcher, first time you are conducting a systematic review meta-analysis, your research question should be very focused. If you ask such type of research question, then I don't think that you will be able to complete the systematic review within a year or two. Okay, so do not overburden yourself while you are trying to conduct a systematic review or meta-analysis. Try to ask a very specific research question as per the PICO. So this is a well established. Always focus your outcome. What outcome you are going to measure in your systematic review and meta-analysis? Because based on your outcome measure, all the statistical tests, whether you want to do a fixed effect, random effect, what type of analysis you are going to do, it will be done. So with this background, we are now conducting a systematic review and meta-analysis with guidance of Professor Singh sir. So this is we registered with the Prospero, and we are looking the CA among the KD cases. So this is our Prisma, as explained Dr. Pratap. I am not going to detail steps. So these are the three databases we looked. One is PubMed, Embase, and Web of Science, because these are the three leaders in the field. In the PubMed, since it is a medical field, we anticipate that all the articles indexed in PubMed, and Embase is the part of Elsevier, and Web of Science is a part of the Wiley. Okay, so these agency provide the impact factor, this agency provide the site score, and this is the free database. So three database is the minimum requirement, and at end of the day we landed in the 23 articles. We examined all the 23 articles and extracted our data, and this is the pooled prevalence of the CA among the KD cases. So if you look at, so these are the some statistics. Dr. Pratap already explained what this box means. It is basically the weightage given to the sample size of the study, and this is the lower limit of the confidence interval, and this is the upper limit of the confidence interval. So and this diamond represent the pooled estimate. Okay, look at the pooled prevalence, which ranges from the point estimate is 15%. It means among all these studies, some studies, whatever they reported, like this study reported 4%, this study reported 25%, 24%, 19%. So our pooled estimate is 15%, which ranges from 9% to 23%, which this diamond shows that data. However, there is another statistics recently used. You will never find these statistics before 2024. So this is called the prediction interval. What does this statistics means? If similar another study will conduct in future, what is the likelihood it will fall? It means that this prediction interval shows that it can range from 1% to 41%. So if a similar type of study based on this data, so they did some prediction analysis and they provide the statistics which ranges, if a similar study in future will publish, it can be range from 1% to 41%. So this is our data, and there are some other statistics like I-square is the, since this is all observational studies, so there is a high heterogeneity. Okay, 99% is the high heterogeneity, because it is the inherent heterogeneity, it is not RCT studies. All observational studies have the heterogeneity. We need to deal with the heterogeneity. Then the second one is chi-square within the study variance. We do not need to go details. And the second also we look at the prevalence of dilation among the KD cases. The same it is 9% we found in our study. This only 4 study reported this outcome. Then we also look at the giant CA among the KD cases. There are 5 studies reported and which ranges from, it's very less. Look at the diamond, it is not appropriate shape, it's very less number. This is the again pooled prevalence of medium CA among the KD cases. Only 3 study reported and the diamond is not so solid. Then the prevalence of small CA among the KD cases. Only 2 study reported this data. Then we look for the publication bias. There are usually people use the funnel plot. So if you look at this funnel plot, this will not provide any conclusion. Okay. So ideally, we should not go for a funnel plot if we are doing a meta-analysis based on the proportion data. And if the number of studies is less than 10, so here the total number of studies is 8. So we comment many studies published in Lancet, JAMA, the editor acknowledge our letter and they publish, because in proportion data one should not use the funnel plot. So instead of funnel plot, now the new statistics they call the DY plot. In the DY plot, look at, it provide a quantitative estimate. Okay, like looking at this, it is the LFAK index is 11.9 and it says that if the LFAK index is between greater than 1 or less than -1, the range should be -1 to +1, then there is no publication bias. So if you look, by looking this, you will say, since this is a proportional study and there is high publication bias in our meta-analysis. So this is new statistics, it is nowadays used for the publication bias. We have not done the risk of bias assessment. Also, while I am attending the session, one participant asked whether the proportion is higher among male or female. So we have to do a subgroup analysis to see all these published data, whether this is also true in case of the CA cases is among the male higher or not. So with this, I acknowledge the guidance from Professor Surjit Singh, Dr. Shankar Pinja, Dr. Rakesh Pilani and the review team. So thank you very much. If you want to learn this technique, we have a journal. The name is The Evidence. Here all the step-by-step guidelines, how to use doing this meta-analysis. We published 2-3 articles, methodology articles. You can scan this QR code and join this journals group. And I will invite if you have any question because we have less time. So I'll be happy to answer your questions.
Any questions? Excellent presentation. In fact, knowledge is only trigger which increases on sharing. So I request the organizing persons if they can share this excellent, beautiful talks, at least with the group which is registered for the conference. No further questions. I'll just go on for the next.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
To chair the next session, we invite Professor Surjit Singh. He is a professor and head of the Department of Pediatrics, the unit head of Pediatric Allergy